Mike the Vegan is a YouTuber advocating health, environmental, and sociological aspects of a plant-based diet. His YouTube channel provides us with a great number of thought-provoking videos, which are a mix of scientific literature, opinion, and occasional humor. His goal is to bust myths about veganism, in turn save animals, your health, and the health of the planet. I'm here with Mike the Vegan, popular and hilarious YouTuber. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. First of all, you're hilarious and witty and dead on with some points about veganism. And you talk a lot about, you bust myths about veganism. So let's talk about that for a second. What are some of the myths that you hear surrounding veganism?
Oh, there's so many. It's endless. I mean, I probably have like 20 videos on the topic. And I think just the idea that vegans are all these like crazy extremist people. You know, some of them are, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, that's like, it becomes like the average, and that might just be like the extremist of any group is the one that kind of gets the attention. But that, and then just so many diet myths, like that you're gonna die, your hair's gonna fall out. And a lot of times people kind of come to a vegan diet, like they're just like cleansing and stuff, and then they just like starve themselves and they don't eat enough calories, and they end up, they're just starving themselves like under the guise of veganism. And so that creates a lot of myths and things like that. And just like the idea that you can't meet all your nutritional needs on a vegan diet. The largest organization of nutritional professionals, the Academy of Nutrition Dietetics, says that you can meet all of your needs for every stage of life on a vegan diet. You know, that's the largest group in the world saying that. So, I mean, it's pretty convincing to me.
And with protein, that's one myth that you hear a lot about. You're not getting enough protein, or are you getting enough protein on a vegan diet? And I find we're so obsessed now with, you know, everybody needs to have protein and every day of every hour. And there are cases where even some people have died from too much protein, like bodybuilders.
Seriously, yeah,
right?
and things that come with protein.
So why is our nation so protein obsessed?
I think a lot of it just has to do with like the history of America and just like get that protein, do it. And but now just like looking in terms of bodybuilding, if you just look at the bodybuilders, look at or weightlifters, Kendrick Ferris setting a U.S. Olympic record in Rio, and he's a vegan. You know, he's beating out all the non-vegan people,
right.
And people like Patrick Baboumian, who's setting world strength records. And you can't look at those people and say they're not getting enough protein. And even just in terms of like the human animal, our breast milk has the lowest protein level out of any mammal on the planet. And that's partially just because we have the longest, you know, period to maturity because our brains take so long to grow. You know, like a rat grows fast that has a really high protein in its milk and things like that. So we just need to like rethink protein, rethink like how many grams, even the like 40 to 50 gram ratio or 40 to 50 grams that's recommended to people still don't follow that. They still think they need twice as much. Every dude thinks they're a bodybuilder and they need to like make all these gains with like 4 times as much protein as their body needs.
And it can be dangerous.
Yeah, it's very acidic, and it's the stuff that comes with the protein that people are eating, you know, the saturated fat and the cholesterol, right. And the persistent organic pollutants that build up. You know, 95% of those, like dioxin, comes from animal fat. And so when people are pounding that in, it's just not healthy.
So we have animal protein and plant protein. So how do you tell people that you don't require animal protein? Plant protein is good enough and better.
Yeah, I tend to look to the Adventist population. They have people that have been vegan for 50 years, you know, people like Ellsworth Wareham, who's over 100 years old, and just, you know, just the epidemiological studies showing that, you know, the mortality rate of vegans is lower, like that should be enough.
Right.
And the idea that these people aren't wasting away, and again, the bodybuilders, there's just so much evidence. You know, there's this guy who calls himself the vegan zombie because he should be dead because he's been vegan for so long, and it's just on and on. Yeah, but one more thing about animal protein too is it triggers, you know, certain hormones like IGF-1, which at higher levels contributes to cancer at every stage and stuff. Yep. And so you just got to keep stuff like that in mind.
And speaking of cancer, how can you use a vegan diet to reverse disease?
To reverse disease, the main thing that I'm so excited about is there are so many diseases that are a result of atherosclerosis, which so many studies are showing that children in the US are getting. And so basically everybody eating a standard American diet has atherosclerosis to one point. And there are so many diseases that we don't even realize are atherosclerosis. Everything from like erectile dysfunction to Alzheimer's is like buildup of fat in your brain, and it just goes on and on. Even eyesight, people are getting, you know, like clogged microvessels in their eyes, and you can reverse all of that, you know, looking at the clinical trials from Dr. Esselstyn showing like crazy reversal of clogged arteries in 3.5 weeks. And so that just goes to everything. Even, people's skin, it relies on these fine blood vessels that come up to the surface. Every part of the human body is dependent on your circulatory system. If your circulatory system is clogged, you're gonna have issues. Your joints, we're seeing unequivocal, spinal disc degeneration in teenagers. There was a study that won the Volvo Science Award a while back because they found that, autopsies of children that died from some other reason, they still had disc degeneration from clogged lower back arteries. And we're finding that like 80% of people with chronic lower back pain have severely clogged spinal arteries. And so it's just so many things that we think are even just normal aging are actually just our body being clogged, like from our head to our toe. So it's amazing.
It's contributed from the awful diet that we've been eating all these years. There was even a girl I remember hearing about. She was 13 years old. She had a brain tumor. Did you hear about that?
I didn't.
And she reversed it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
On a raw vegan diet.
Okay. Yeah, anecdotes are a little touchy because people, whenever I mention anecdote, I get drilled, and people, those YouTube comments, they go right at you. So whenever I use an anecdote, I have to have a study right afterwards.
All right.
But yeah, cancer, vegans have about 15%.
There's evidence.
Yeah, even vegans that aren't trying to be particularly healthy, just look at populations, they have about 15% lower rates of overall cancer. But there are so many things that happen, like in your blood. You put people on a healthy plant-based diet, and their body can tell cancer to kill itself more effectively. There's a study by Ornish on that, and just getting cancer to grow more slowly on a massive scale, way slower. So we have the studies for it, but I don't want to be saying vegan cures cancer, but it helps. That's all I can say.
It helps prevent, and it can help cure in some cases, right?
Totally.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been
a
pleasure.
I appreciate it. It was great.
We'll be back for more. The implementation of innovative plant-based meal programs are already gaining traction. There are now more choices for smarter and healthier options on the supermarket shelves, and people are realizing that you can get all your nutrients from a plant-based diet, which is also healthier and sustainable.